Hi, I'm Ellie Falk. Thanks for joining me today for this online training on best practices for teaching outdoors. Before we go further, I just want to give you a little background on who I am. I work for the Civic Garden Center as the Youth Education Coordinator. I have been here for 8 years and have over 10 years of experience as an informal environmental educator. And prior to that, I worked on several small-scale organic farms. As a youth education coordinator for the Civic Garden Center, I support our regional network of school gardens. There are roughly about 100 gardens in this network, and they are at schools ranging from preschools all the way through high schools around the greater Cincinnati area. Primarily, I focus on our programming for elementary age students, but I do work with educators across all grade levels from pre-K through 12th grade. I want to share a bit more about the Civic Garden Center. So the organization is a nonprofit that has existed since 1942. It was founded during the World War II Victory Gardens movement, with its roots in helping folks to learn how to grow their own food. And we have really stayed true to those roots, but we have expanded out from there as well. Our mission is building community through education, gardening, and environmental stewardship. We have beautiful grounds that are on the former estate of a philanthropist and amateur horticulturist, Cornelius Hauck, in the neighborhood of Avondale in the city of Cincinnati. And you are welcome to come and visit our grounds. They are free and open to the public 7 days a week. And we really consider ourselves Cincinnati's resource for all things gardening, sustainability, and horticulture. Our program areas are numerous, as you can see. So we offer classes and events at the Civic Garden Center on our grounds and inside our building. We do all sorts of programming for K-12 students and educators. That includes our school garden program. We also offer field trip opportunities and summer programming, drop-in programming that is free twice a month. We have a conservation program where we are training adults to lead groups of volunteers in habitat restoration projects. We also are running a few habitat restoration projects ourselves on different sites around the city. Our urban agriculture program encompasses a network of community gardens in our region, as well as a backyard gardening program and a free training for folks who are interested in being more active in their community garden or creating a community garden of their own. And we also offer free educational programming in our community gardens through the summer months. We have the Green Teens program, which is specifically for high school students. It is free to participate in, and it has a monthly challenge for students throughout the school year, and there is a prize for the winning group of students and celebration in May. And we also couldn't do all the work that we do without support from volunteers. We have a robust network of volunteers that help us maintain our grounds and support our community gardens and our habitat restoration projects, as well as many of our educational programs. So, getting more focused on our training today, our objective is to learn strategies to support students' outdoor learning and to feel confident as educators implementing them. We will discuss how to be prepared for leading outdoor learning, setting expectations and routines that will work in your outdoor space, and how to lead lessons for a group of students in that space. So, as an educator thinking about bringing a group of students outside, it is always best to be as prepared as possible, just as you would for anything you are leading in your classroom. You may be very familiar with your outdoor spaces around your school, but even so, the day that you're planning to go out, it's very important to check that outdoor area in the morning before you are headed out there, just to be sure that nothing happened between the afternoon when you left the school building or overnight and that morning. So just making sure that there aren't any safety concerns or things there that you wouldn't want to be there when your students are in that space, and having time to take care of that in the morning before you're out there with your students. If possible, as you're thinking about when you're going to go out, to reach out to volunteers or parents or a partner organization and see if they can be there with you. It's always helpful to have additional support from capable adults when you are outside with a group of students. Of course, this is not always possible, so then it's very important that you are designing and thinking about activities that you can lead on your own with your students. The day before, remind your students that you're going to be going outside the next school day, and discuss how they can dress to be comfortable for whatever the weather is going to be that day. It might be nice to think about reminding them to wear shoes that they can get a little bit dirty, or clothing that they can get a little bit dirty. Even if you're not planning on a particular dirty activity, it's always possible that students could get a little dirty being outside. Right before you go outside, if it's possible, and hopefully it is possible, to make the time to remind students to use the restroom, depending on their age, or stopping at the restroom and giving all your students the opportunity to use the restroom before you go outside. And then, just as a last minute precaution, check the weather. Even if it said that it wasn't going to be raining, we know that things can always change. So when you are going to be using an outdoor space for learning, it's very important to have set expectations and routines for this space with your students, just like you would in your classroom. You can create these expectations with your students and have a set of agreed upon expectations that you have made together early in the year, and you refer to those as often as needed, and give reminders before heading outside, and then again while you are outside. You can even have these posted outside somewhere if that's helpful. Giving directions about what students should do and how you're going to get outside before you go is very helpful, and they know sort of what to do once they are out there. You can create a consistent routine of how you leave the building and return to your classroom after being in the outdoor space. If possible, you might even think about using a different route than you do when you exit the building for recess, just to put students in a different frame of mind when they're heading outside for a lesson or something that is part of their instructional day. And lastly, breaking your students into smaller groups and having them use stations can be a really nice way to structure your time outdoors. You want to set up your stations thoughtfully and carefully, just as you would for anything inside your classroom. Having all your materials kind of prepped and ready will just help that all go much smoother. When you lead a lesson outside, there are a few things to think about that you may not need to think about inside. So making sure that students are aware of the boundaries of where they can be during that lesson. These may be consistent boundaries that you use every time you go outside, or they may be specific to that particular lesson. If you are running a few different stations at the same time, having some sort of transition signal that students can hear outside, like a whistle, a bell, a special bird call that you do, so they know when it's time to move to the next station or when it's time to gather back, whatever you need to use that signal for. When you're outside, there can be, airplanes flying overhead or traffic noise, so just remind yourself and remember to use a volume that is loud enough for students to hear you. And at certain times of the year and certain times of day, the sunlight may be really strong. So thinking about, if you're speaking to your students, position yourself so your eyes are looking into the sunlight rather than them. And that way they are going to have a better chance of paying attention and listening to you and not being distracted by the bright sunlight. You can also incorporate questions into your lessons that help your students engage more with their outdoor environment. These are kind of relying a lot on using the senses, observation skills. So, for example, you could ask them if they're noticing any signs in nature that tell them, that there's a change in seasons, or you can draw their attention to bird noises or insect noises, colors that they're seeing, even just changes that they notice from each time that they have been outside. When outside, there are going to be things that come up that you don't expect. I'm calling these teachable moments. You may have planned a lesson on parts of the plant, and when looking at a plant, the student notices that there are ants crawling on the soil. Rather than getting too caught up in, getting right back to discussing the parts of the plants, take the opportunity to look at the ants with your students and kind of engage their natural curiosity. Talk about why the ants might be there. What are they doing? Are they, beneficial? Maybe even discuss, the parts of the body of an insect and kind of connect it a little bit to your plant part lesson that way. And lastly, being outdoors is supposed to be fun for the students, but also for you as the educator. So hopefully you are enjoying and planning and designing experiences outside that are rewarding for you as well. Here is our final slide. I just want to provide you with my contact information as well as my colleague Mary Dudley's contact information. We are both here for you, happy to support you, would love to hear from you, so please reach out to us. Thank you.